We are looking at the dust extractor table today. We're looking at the setup of the dust extractor and also a shop vac compared to a dust extractor. Okay, so currently I am using a dust extractor on the table, but I have used shop vacs in the past and I think they're pretty good, but we're going to do a comparison today, and I've got a Ryobi here shop vac and we're going to compare it to the dust extractor that I've got. So I did actually make this table for my shop vac and I have a video on that. I will put a link up there to that video just to show you how I made the actual table. But today I've sort of like modified it so we can use both interchangeably, the shop vac and the dust extractor. So that'll be a good comparison between the two. Okay, so I used to have this set up for a shop vac, and pretty much what I did is have the vac going through there. I can sort of take it out. It's got quite a good seal on there. I kind of use hot glue as a sealing agent, and if you kind of put a little bit of oil on that, you can sort of like put the hot glue around it and then pull it back out because it doesn't stick to the vacuum nozzle. And one other thing you want to do is you want to have a good seal around here, so you're not sort of like sucking air out in places where you kind of don't want it to be sucked out. So the whole box should be sort of like airtight. That's an important thing, and so this fits on there. So when you're doing a shop vac kind of dust extraction table, you want to try and figure out how many holes you want. I'd put in, if I was doing it again, I'd put in a few, and then I'd try and work out by the noise of the vacuum cleaner whether it's working too hard or it just sounds kind of normal. So to get a normal kind of sound, you just kind of like have to listen to it just like this. So you'd listen to it like this. Right. Okay, so you can sort of hear it there, and that's its normal kind of thing. But if you kind of like, if I turn it on and then I put my hand over it a little bit, it's going to make a different noise. You see how the engine kind of like ramps up a little bit there. So what you want to do is you want to have enough holes in there that sort of doesn't cause it to rev the engine up at all. But you don't want to have too many holes in there that's going to cause like low sort of suction through here. So it's kind of like it's a little bit of a mystery when you sort of make it. You kind of have to like put a few holes in first and then expand the holes and see how it kind of works out. Okay, so we're carving some cedar today, and the dust is getting sucked down quite nicely. It's sort of going up and then down a little bit. Now it's all going to depend on how big your carvings are and all of those kind of things. You can sort of see it there, it's going up and then down again. And we will do this with the dust extractor as well. Now I'm going to turn off the vac just so you can sort of see the difference. So this is without any dust extraction at all. So you can sort of see there, it sort of like drifts over towards me and everywhere. Okay, so that was the shop vac, and now we're going to do the dust extractor. So we'll just take this off and get rid of that, and we'll put some duct tape over that hole there. When you're using a dust extractor, the pipe is way bigger than a hose, and this connector here is when you buy dust extractors, they have all these different connectors that you can get, and you just got to sort of like figure out what you kind of need depending on your table. Now I know some people use like a big plastic sort of one, it's called a big gulp over here, and I think what they use them for is lathe work, and they have like you can put it under the table, but the only one I could find was quite deep, so you couldn't get your legs under the table. So I just kept this one that I made and found this tiny little connector here, and then put the pipe on that. You can sort of like put some duct tape around the pipe, and we'll just have a look under the table. So essentially this is under the table here, so you can sort of see that's kind of fixed on, that's that kind of like connector I was talking about, and then you have your pipe that goes onto there, and I bought this kind of clip here, but it didn't really kind of work that great, so I put duct tape and just taped it to the table because that doesn't really come off. And I've got 2 lengths of this. It depends on how far away you're going to have the hose, but I think you're going to lose some suction just because of the friction that's been caused, but I don't really find it too bad with 2 hose lengths. Okay, so essentially I'll show you, there is a table there. You can sort of see the hose, and there is the connector, and it goes to the dust collector over there, so it's not very far away. But what's good about this is I've got a connector here, so I can use that hose and I go onto the back of the bandsaw, or I go back onto that disc sander over there. So it's kind of really convenient because you can sort of like change, and if you have the right connections, it's really quick to do that. So this connector down here, essentially it's just one is bigger than the other, and it just slots in like that, and it's got a pretty good seal there. I've just put it over here, the dust collector, so you can sort of see in this part here there's a fan that goes around which draws the air in, and I'll have to go around the other side. And on the other side is the bag where the dust is collected. You can sort of see, I've had this for a few months now, the dust is up to about here. You can sort of buy these bags and you can just clamp them onto the dust collector through this clamping kind of system here. And this one actually came with like a bag on top, but I didn't want the bag, I wanted this fancy kind of filter. Now this goes down to, I think it's 1 micron. I will check on that. Okay, you can see on the right there, that is what's called the pleated filter, and that does go down to 1 micron particles that it's going to filter out. And you can sort of see on the left, or how I described the bag on top, that's the filter bag as well, but that goes down to 5 microns. So the one on the right is a little bit better. Cost wise, I'm going to talk New Zealand dollars here. That was on the left, the whole unit was around about 400 New Zealand dollars, and the pleated filter was around $300. And that price does not include the hose fittings or anything like that. So that pleated filter just fits onto the top, and this you just turn. It's got a couple of blades that just hit the pleats on the inside, and it gets rid of the dust into the bag below. And this brand, Carbotech, is a New Zealand Australian brand, so if you're in America you probably can't buy this, but I did put the specifications of that machine on there so you could find something very similar. Okay, so this is the dust extractor that I just showed you, and it's pulling down the dust as well. Now, I think the benefits of a dust extractor is, I think it is a little bit more powerful than the shop vac, but it's also a lot quieter. Shop vacs tend to be quite high pitched, whereas the dust extractors will be a little bit lower pitched. Now, one of the questions I get asked is, do you have to wear a dust mask if you have a dust extractor table? I believe you do, because actually the dust that is the most harmful is the dust that you cannot see, so you can't really be a judge of that. So I think most of it is being sucked down into the table, so it does lessen the load around the air that you're breathing. But needless to say that your dust mask is the first line of defense against dust. So if you're going to spend money, buy a good dust mask first before you start spending money on extractor tables. Now we're going to do a sound check, but just before that I want to suggest that what would be my recommendation between the two? Well, I would say actually start off with the shop vac, because maybe you've got one in your workshop and you don't want to spend a lot of money on a dust extractor table, so you can make a cheap dust extractor table, and if you keep on carving over a year or something like that, then you can maybe start looking at a specific dust extractor.